Let's talk about boundaries. I don't fault, the adult population that has minimal understanding about boundaries because I think people have trouble with boundaries, for various reasons and some aren't even their fault. But that does not mean that any individual, anybody, should have to put up with behavior that makes them feel uncomfortable. And it certainly doesn't mean that they ever deserve to be shamed for not putting up with that behavior. Now, when it comes to my boundaries and whatever, I'm my own person. Yours don't have to match mine, but I have a very solid idea of what healthy boundaries look like for me. And for me, intent is 99% of the law. That's why I don't get offended when people misgender me, because I'm a non-passing trans man. Do I think everybody that, calls me a feminine pronoun is trying to be insulting or has, ill intent? No, of course not. But intent is usually pretty easy to sniff out, especially in those who think they're being passive-aggressive. Recently, my husband and I made the decision to not show our son on social media. I have pinned several videos on why, and I try not to use his name. Sometimes I slip up, but I'm trying not to use his name anymore. He has a nickname now we use, Mix 6.0. He chose it. Now, here's where boundaries come into play. Am I gonna throw a temper tantrum anytime somebody asks about my child? No. I put my whole family basically out on a public platform, and it's totally normal for people to wonder how he's doing, what's going on. And some people probably just didn't get the memo yet. That's perfectly fine. I don't believe there's any ill intent involved. But if you're constantly asking about my child over and over and over by name, you're getting blocked. There's intent there, and you can't tell me there's not. And to be real, even if I didn't make the announcement, even if my son was still on social media, I'd block you for being that interested in a minor. Earlier, somebody was in my live and they repetitively were asking where my son was by name. And I didn't engage the first few times. I figured it's just a viewer who's curious. But then it kept coming and coming, so I blocked him. That's a rational response. And I immediately got met with criticism about how, I jump to conclusions. I don't care. When it comes to my boundaries, especially ones that revolve my son, I'm going with my gut feeling. And while we're on boundaries, stop fucking disguising abusive behavior as healthy boundaries. It is not a healthy boundary for you to not want your significant... This is unrelated, but it's not a healthy boundary for you to not want your significant other to talk to the opposite gender. What the fuck? Stop acting like that's healthy. It's not. I know, I saw that earlier and I'm like, that is not a fucking boundary. That's abuse.